What are you making?
I'm mixing up a stew to give corporate a different view. Have a taste. Welcome to the Corporate Kitchen. I'm your host, Tiger, and today on the menu is mergers and acquisitions. After a somber week last week, we're finally back to some positivity. This one is actually a fun topic. It's actually really cool because everyone gets involved in this, from engineers to finance people to operations programs, industrial, even government. Everyone gets involved in this topic and it makes it applicable to every industry, every person that's doing something in corporate America. So, as we always do, let's start with the dictionary. According to the Merriam-Webster, the definition of merger as a noun is one, law, the absorption of an estate, a contract, or an interest in another of a minor offense in greater, or of a cause of action into a judgment. Two, the act or process of merging. To be absorption by a corporation of one or more others. Also, any of the various methods of combining two or more organizations, such as business concerns. For acquisition as a noun, we have one, the act of acquiring something, two, something or someone acquired or gained. Both of those definitions really utilize its own word in the definition, so it didn't make it great. So we'll break that down into the further verb. But if we took the nouns as is, we're basically looking at also any of the various methods of combining two or more organizations and the act of requiring something. Again, we don't really want to use the word in a definition, so let's break that down a little bit more and dig a little deeper. So if we look at merge as a verb, it's listed as a transitive verb and an intransitive verb. So as a transitive verb, it's one, to cause to combine, unite, or coalesce. Two, to blend gradually by stages that blur distinctions. Three, archaic, to plunge or engulf in something, immerse. And then as an intransitive verb, it's number one, to become combined into one. Two, to blend or come together without abrupt change. For acquire as a verb, we have one, to get as one's own. 1A, to come into possession or control of, often by unspecified means. 1B, to come to have as a new or added characteristic, trait, or ability. 2, to locate and hold a desired object in a detector. Acquired a target by radar, for an example. If we look at it as a verb, it's a lot easier to have as ingredients to mix and create something out of. So with the verbs, let's look at it that way, and we would have the intransitive version of merge, to become combined into one. And then for acquire, it would be to get as one's own. Those two definitions of the verbs fundamentally should give you insight into the differences between a merger and an acquisition. You will hear the term M&A in a lot of industries to simplify saying mergers and acquisitions, but the reality is it is two separate things. It's MISI, mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive, of the business development market and how we would go about changing businesses. The merger side focuses on having multiple parts come together as one. That would usually translate into what we see when we're in the kitchen and we're taking a lot of ingredients and making something new. We have all the individual pieces, we combine it. No, your standard recipe. Let's do, for example, like a crock pot and you're making pot roast. You take the meat, you take the gravy, you take your carrots, your celery, potatoes. Some people may do wine, or some people may do broth. Some people may do both. You put all those ingredients together, throw a bay leaf on top, and you combine all those individual items into one, and it becomes pot roast. The key there is that They were all something individually before the merger. Then after they merged, they became something else. You don't call the ingredients pot roast. Once you put it together and you combine it, you call it a pot roast. On the other side, on the acquisition side, to get as one's own, that is identifying the absorption or the act of obtaining something that you currently don't have. And when we say don't have, it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have the capability. Rather, you don't physically possess it. Therefore, you are going to obtain it. You're going to acquire it. This is a lot like kitchen accessories. You have the KitchenAid, but you don't have the attachment to help you grind meat. You don't have the attachment to help you make ice cream just using the KitchenAid by itself. You don't have the proper stir. So you buy those attachments, those accessories, and acquire them in order to increase the ability of something that you already have, right? So one is taking individual ingredients, items, combining it to create something else, while the other is I've already had it and I'm just going to add to it. That is, the pot roast is there, the pot roast is made, it's in your plate and or bowl, and now you're adding hot sauce to it. You already have the pot roast is there. You're just adding what you would consider a flavor enhancer or a spice enhancer. The first takeaway is that know the difference. When you're in the situation of a merger and acquisition, you could say that, but you're doing one or the other. You're not doing both. Well, I actually have to take that back because when you'll hear at the table, I was in a situation where both happened at the same exact time, and it was kind of crazy. But even in that example, we didn't do both transactions at the exact same time. It was separated. So we did one part first, second part afterwards. It would be very difficult to do both at once. In general, you would see one or the other done. Either someone is merging or someone is being acquired. You really have to know the difference for yourself so that you know what you're getting into. As we talked about in company portfolio, this could potentially be a huge opportunity for you, whether within the new company, the current company, or at a different company. When there is a merger, the company that's doing the incumbent, that's doing the merging, could be, and obviously, either company can act as the incumbent. So either one of those companies could have been a conglomerate as is, and now they're just getting bigger, or they could have been a smaller company and now they're walking in with a bigger company to create an even bigger company, or it could be a situation where one company split, like, you had a huge company, it split into two parts, and one of those parts merged with another company to become a bigger company. Regardless, all those scenarios point to the fact that there is opportunity that comes out of a merger and acquisition. You just have to be able to understand and break down the characteristics of the transaction to identify where your opportunity exists. On the acquisition side, it's a little bit different because that tends to be a little more, I would say, passive aggressive, right? The definition as a verb was to get as one's own. So if you're being acquired by if your company, sorry, we don't acquire people. If your company is being acquired by another company, that purchasing company usually is going to dictate terms of the acquisition and will kind of be the lead in guiding opportunities. What does that mean? That means if you buy something, you usually don't let the item or the, if you bought, let's just put you in the realm of a CEO. You buy a company for $1 million. You're company A, you buy company B for $1 million. Would you let company B dictate how you ran company A or influence how you run company A? Most likely not. you would actually be dictating to company B how company A runs. And since you bought them, how they're going to integrate and operate as company A now. That creates a different realm and strategy when we talk about opportunities for yourself and knowing the difference, right? Usually in a merger, it's about combining as one. So the key buzzword, the corporate buzzword you hear all the time is synergy. How do we synergize? How do we smooth both of these out to make it one complete unit? Whereas on the acquisition side, it's you smooth yourself. This is the line you need to smooth to match us. And that is not an avenue to really press your mindset and how you would normally navigate your path. That becomes more of a learning opportunity to say, okay, if we're being told here's what the line looks like, now I have to use my business acumen to gain as much knowledge as possible on this company A so that I know how to navigate it for myself. And then from there, I'll be able to open up the opportunities. Usually in a merger, you can get new opportunities a lot faster than an acquisition. Acquisition, if you're the company that's being bought, it's going to take a little bit longer. All in all, though, I will say that mergers and acquisitions is just like peanut butter and jelly if you think about it. What do I mean by that? I mean, you got your peanut butter, you got your jelly, you got your bread, put it together, and it's a peanut butter and jelly. It's almost a play on words and funny, not funny, but mergers and acquisition, peanut butter and jelly. And the reason that I do want to bring up that example and why it's very relevant is let's break that down a little bit deeper. When you're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, do you use equal parts peanut butter and equal parts jelly? Some of you may, and some of you may not. That is true for a merger. Some people put a little bit of jelly in their peanut butter. Other people put a little bit of peanut butter in their jelly. And some people like a perfect spread of both. Some people like a heavy equal spread of both. Some people may like a light spread of both. Regardless, there is variability in the amount of peanut butter independently and jelly independently. And then in comparison to each other, there's another variable of the comparable values to each other. It could be a lot of peanut butter and a little bit of jelly, but you're still merging them. And it doesn't make it any less of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich than if it was equal parts peanut butter and jelly. If someone likes a heavy amount of peanut butter and a little bit of jelly and someone else likes equal parts, you're still going to call both sandwiches a peanut butter and jelly. And that's the critical nature of a merger, where it may not be full equality and full equity across the two companies in their finances, in their headcount, in their business potential. There will be some variabilities and differences. But at the end of the day, when they're done, none of that matters because they're operating as peanut butter and jelly. They're done. They are one. I could definitely understand some people with the mindset of like, ooh, that may draw some concern if you're the bigger company, if you're the heavier side, if you're the peanut butter side. What does the jelly do for you? Don't have that mindset. Just absolutely take that mindset out your head, because once you become whole and you become the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, the past is gone. You're no longer peanut butter. You're peanut butter and jelly. You're something new. And new requires change management. And it's normally scary for people. And I understand the fear, and I could totally understand the concern on change. But you added something. It should be changed for the better. You became more than what you originally were. Obviously, if you're on the jelly side and you're the smaller bit because it's heavy peanut butter, you're obviously going to be excited because you went from just a small glob of jelly to peanut butter and jelly and a whole full sandwich. And I know I'm going heavy peanut butter, but the opposite could be true too. It could be just a little bit of peanut butter and heavy on the jelly, and you combine those. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you are something more and something bigger than what you started with. You're no longer just peanut butter. You're no longer just jelly. You're peanut butter and jelly now. You are something bigger than where you started. You have to now apply a higher level of thinking, move up a level on the economy of scales because you leveled up. You leveled up by merging with another business. How does that differ from acquisition? Okay, let's take our same peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Doesn't matter the amount of peanut butter, doesn't matter the amount of jelly that we're using. We have the peanut butter and jelly. And now we want to do an acquisition. So what does that look like? We chop up a banana. We put it in. It does not become a banana peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's still a peanut butter and jelly. We just put some banana in it. We were already a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We added an enhancer. We acquired an enhancer. We put banana in there. We could do a drizzle of honey. It's still a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with some honey. Just added some honey. It's like with it. We acquired it, so now you're coming with me, but you don't change the name of it. It's not a peanut butter, banana, and jelly sandwich. No, it's still peanut butter and jelly. I made a peanut butter jelly. I added banana. Peanut butter and jelly with banana. Peanut butter jelly with honey. Now, if you did something totally different, let's say instead of peanut butter, you use Nutella. So now it's Nutella and jelly. That's a merger, not an acquisition, because you're substituting the peanut butter for the Nutella, and now you're merging the Nutella with the jelly. If you had peanut butter and jelly, and you added a layer of Nutella on top of the peanut butter, now you're acquiring some Nutella, peanut butter and jelly with Nutella. See the difference? So it's just like whenever you think mergers and acquisitions, just break it down to a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Think about how much peanut butter and jelly there is, and that will help you understand the economies of scale when it comes to the two companies, how big or how different, who's the heavier side. Doesn't matter which side of the coin you name, just identify which side is heavier. Is it the peanut, if company A is peanut butter, company B is jelly, which is the larger company? Company B is? Okay, so it's more jelly than it is peanut butter. Then you put them together, company A and B now. Company AB. There's something bigger than company B independently and company A independently. Company AB. And now, once you put them together, you can see the synergies that are created or that are supposed to happen, and now look for the opportunities. And when you know that difference, you're much more prepared, because the second takeaway is that it is a chess game, unfortunately. Mergers and acquisitions is a chess game because there are winners and losers. Don't think for 1 second that people are doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, or that they say, oh, we can create so much synergy if we're together as one. It makes so much sense. Public companies have an obligation to shareholders to make sure they're meeting their requirements for wealth for shareholders. The mergers and acquisitions that happen aren't to say, hey, this is going to provide more opportunities for my employees. It's to boost shareholder value. With that frame of mindset, you have to understand that shareholders are intended to always be the winners. If you are a shareholder, whether because you work in one of those companies or you independently invested in it, you may tend to be on the winner side. Just as being a shareholder, you may be a winner. You also could be a loser if you're working for one of those companies. When there is a merger, there is a creation of change. It's a catalyst to change. Company A, Company B Company A is peanut butter. Company B is jelly. We put them together. They're company A and B. There's some stuff about company A that was great that's now gone. There was some stuff about company B that was great that may be now gone because it's no longer company A's processes and company B's process. It's company A, B's process. Have to come together, have to create one. And usually in mergers, there is a loss of, I won't say identity, but some of the tribal things that made the company what it was prior to as company A. Some of that tribal stuff is lost because it's been changed to now become company AB. That behavior and culture shift and change is usually what drives people to seek opportunities outside of company AB once the merger is finalized, where you work for company A or B, and then once company AB was there, you weren't aligned with some of the changes, and then you leave. Understood. Or what really happens, right? Let's talk about what really happens. Company A, company B are fully staffed. They have everything that is needed to self-sustain itself. When you make company AB, you don't need 100% of that staff. So normally when mergers happen, there is a correction to the final head count based off an assessment of what is the necessary need for AB, because it's not A plus B, right? If 100 people was needed for company A, 100 people was needed for company B, that does not necessarily mean that 200 people are needed for company AB. Remember, the winner here is always shareholder value. Part of that is making sure that you're assessing costs, assessing if you're sized correctly. More times than not, mergers tend to lead to reduction in forces because of quote unquote synergizing when they identify functions that would be considered to have redundant people, where one person was doing the job of company A, one person was doing the job at company B, but now you can have one person do the job at AB despite having two people for it. Okay, now decisions have to be made. So it gets really hard for some functions, specifically core functions during this time, because they see the writing on the wall where they don't need, company AB doesn't need everyone. They don't need all the heads because although they're a merged company, synergies will say that one person can cover, or at least a portion of the staff can cover the combined company and not double what was needed before, because it's one company. Yeah, there was two companies that came together, but it's one company now. I don't need double the staff. And it gets hard. So my heart goes out to all those people in core functions that deal with mergers and the concern that comes with it. On the acquisition side, it's a little bit more volatile of a game because remember, the verb definition was to get as one's own. If you're being acquired, the purchasing company normally will look at leadership and tend to clean house in an acquisition. The reason for that is you're purchasing a company, you want to bring all your people in. If I'm company A and I'm purchasing company B for $1 million, I bring them in. I brought them in for a reason. I'm seeking something that I believe, if it were achieved, will increase company A's shareholder value. And remember, let me say that again. Company A's shareholder value. It's not company AB's shareholder value in an acquisition. Company A buys company B. they don't become company AB. They're company A still. So it's their company A's will, company A's way. In that acquisition, there's usually leadership changes in company B because company A wants to put in their leadership in order to lead the charge in achieving whatever goals were intended that drove the purpose of the acquisition. Acquisitions tend to be more volatile in general just because of that fact, just because of, it's not a synergized thing, it's a my way or the highway type thing. They're trying to instill certain culture to achieve and certain leadership to achieve a goal. And you either are part of that plan or you are not, but they own the company. So what they say tend to goes. I mean, we go back to the peanut butter and jelly and let's do the honey again. If you're acquiring honey, the honey doesn't get to tell you if it's going to go on the peanut butter side or on the jelly side before you put them together, or if it's going to go on top of the bread. You determine that. You're acquiring the honey. You put it on whatever side you want to have it on. The Nutella. Maybe you don't want the Nutella in between the peanut butter and the jelly, and instead you put the Nutella on the bread, you put the peanut butter on top of the Nutella, and then that way the peanut butter sits in between the Nutella and the jelly. It's not the Nutella's choice in the matter. You acquire the Nutella. Whereas in the merger, you have peanut butter on one side, jelly on the other, and you bring them together. If you mix the peanut butter and jelly beforehand, you're not merging it. It was already pre-merged. It has to be independent and brought together. On the acquisition side, you already have it, and you just make the assessment and the executive decision of this is how I'm going to incorporate you in. There isn't something like, even if you went all the way to marshmallows are big, so marshmallow is going to dictate how I make this peanut butter and jelly. No, marshmallows will work into my peanut butter and jelly the way that I want them to. If I put chocolate sauce, so chocolate's liquidy, how do I know it's not going to fall out? Well, we will figure that out, but we're not changing the way that the peanut butter and jelly's made to incorporate the chocolate sauce. Chocolate sauce is going to incorporate into my peanut butter and jelly the way I want it to. And it could be said for a lot of things. When you're doing that acquisition side, you're not necessarily changing yourself or your company to accommodate the acquisition. The acquired company is changing in order to accommodate itself to you. And that brings us into our last takeaway. Majority of the time, it is not random. It is not random. When we talked about company portfolio, we were saying that knowledge is power and that mergers and acquisitions tend to be opportunities. And this is very true. And when you acquire that knowledge about your organization, when rumors start of a merger and acquisition, that happens a lot. Like you would get the rumor of a potential merger or potential acquisition, mainly because in the United States, a lot of the regulations require the um, a lot of regulations are applicable that have to be approved in order to allow the merger or acquisition to happen. Because of those regulatory hurdles, it can't be an instantaneous, hey, I want you today, so I do the transaction today, it's complete, and then tomorrow you're a part of me, or tomorrow we're A and B. It doesn't happen that way. There will be continual build up to the actual announcement. And once the announcement's made, there's still a process to close the transaction and get the necessary approvals. So it's not random. It's not someone woke up in the morning and called each other and was like, hey, we should do this and we got it done today. Not going to happen. The assessment has to be done. The legal aspect has to be done. The financial paperwork and filing has to be done. A lot goes into it. And if you're paying attention, it shouldn't surprise you. If you have a business, you have a KitchenAid business, and you have every attachment except for the meat grinder. acquiring the meat grinder company to attachment company shouldn't come as a surprise. It's stuff like that where your company makes all different parts of, let's say, a car. You make the seats, you make the dash, you make the doors, you make the hood, and then there's rumors that you're gonna acquire a window company. And it's like, oh, that shouldn't be surprising. Or you're an engine company and there is a car manufacturer that wants to, or some vehicle that wants to merge and become one. Okay, that's also, not surprising. You'll hear the rumors about it if you pay attention, and that knowledge about the company, that business acumen, would help you make the assessment to understand why the company's doing it and what opportunities will exist. If we're making the peanut butter and jelly and we're out of jelly, let's do more specific. If we're making peanut butter and jelly and we are out of grape jelly and we're building some more stock of grape jelly, but then we see in the store that there's also strawberry jelly and they're selling grape and strawberry jelly as a bundle together that's cheaper than buying 2 grapes or 2 strawberries. If you buy grape and strawberry together, it would just be cheaper. So you're like, why don't we just bring in strawberry jelly to the mix? And there you go. Now you do peanut butter and now you have the option of peanut butter and grape jelly or peanut butter and strawberry jelly, just like that. And the transition into purchasing the dual jellies wasn't a surprise. You saw the sale, you did the math, you understand that it was cheaper, you were going through grape jelly. It's cheaper to buy the grape and strawberry bundle than it was to buy 2 grapes. Ta-da! At that point, shouldn't surprise anyone that we went with the bundle. And that type of assessment can be done at the corporate level with some of these companies and understanding why they're going through. The last thing I do want to cover before we wrap up on this episode is the reverse. What do I mean by that? We're talking about mergers and acquisitions, but there is separations and divestitures. Those would be the opposites to mergers and acquisitions. When a company decides to split and when a company decides to divest a portion. That is common business rhythm as well when it comes to, business development activity. I would say those are a little bit less predictable in terms of business knowledge and saying, oh, okay, we're going to lead into this. However, it's still not random. It's not random. You would know there would be hard press rumors. And the best part of it is, for the opposite, it's all internal rumors. It's all internal information. When you do a acquisition or a merger, it involves an outside facility. You're merging with company A is merging with company B. They're 2 separate companies. They're 2 separate entities. Company A is purchasing company B. Again, 2 separate entities. But in a split, it's company AB splitting into company A, splitting into company B. But it was company AB to start. So all the information that you need to know is held internally. On a divestiture, it's company AB, C, let's do company ABC, and C is divested. So it's now company AB and then company C was split off, sold off. That information's all held internal. So you'll be able to get it through the grapevine, the rumorville, but it wouldn't be random. It's still something that's predictable and allows you to make an assessment to see if there's an opportunity available to continue your success and continue having you thriving. At the end of the day, I mean, we're going to talk about this nearly every episode. The goal is to get you thriving in corporate America. So if we wrap this up, let's go ahead and do that. Key takeaways is know the difference between the merger and acquisition. Are you peanut butter and jelly? I'm sorry, are you peanut butter on one side, jelly on the other, coming together for peanut butter and jelly? Or are you peanut butter and jelly with an accessory, with a enhancement? It will help you navigate the situation better. 2, unfortunately, there are winners and losers. If you're a shareholder, you're a winner by default, so yay you. But it's a corporate gain, and it usually leads to a reduction in forces. So normally there is loss of job. So be careful out there, especially if you're in a core function. And last, I mean, it's not random. It is very predictable. You can get ahead of it. Just make sure you're paying attention and increasing that business acumen. Again, we already went over a company portfolio and had the conversation. Make sure you understand the makeup of your company so that something like this doesn't surprise you and you can make the proper assessment on why the company is doing this and assess the most important question: what are my options to continue my thriving career? And with that, we'll turn off this stove, take off the thinking apron, and let's just say the dishes will get done later. This topic wasn't a big mess, but if we learned something today, then we know there's a little cleaning up to do. I do want to talk this topic more, maybe trade stories about this soon, like this Thursday soon. I hope to see you there. Thanks for being in the corporate kitchen today. I'm your host, Tiger. Until next time.